Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 and Black Ice's Black Ice 11.2, and we're playing as the U.S. And right now it is January 1940. Germany has taken out Poland. The Soviet Union has occupied the rest of Poland. The Soviet Union looks like it's gone to war with Finland and losing some territory. It looks like there. At war with Finland, so they're doing the Winter War and are falling back. Good for you, Soviets. Getting smart. Don't try to push into Poland or into Finland. You're gonna only freeze to death. Japan is sitting basically at peace with its conquering of China. U.S. gave bucks per capita overseas. U.S. gave. I'm not going to get into that now, but I don't know where you're getting your facts. I'm not saying those facts are wrong, but the U.S. gives so much money in private donations to overseas, through religious organizations to overseas. I don't know how well all of that is tracked. So I don't know where you're getting all that stuff per capita per person overseas aid. So there is so much privately done. Yes. Okay. Well, we're going to continue with this. I just don't have the facts to try to figure out what's going on. Stuff I've read back in the 90s and early 2000s that gives me my opinions, but I could be wrong. Okay. The export of zinc to Netherlands, no, they're going to die soon anyways as a country. That, so I don't know that we need to keep. Okay, so now that we've done, instead of the 10% down, we're doing the 10% boost up. We've got more industry. Okay. We've got a lot to upgrade, but again, we're looking, well, we're starting at 1940 already, so Still going to go a bit here with or light cruisers, and yeah, we could do 6 destroyers. These will be even more modern. We're going to push all of these to the bottom. There we go. Gold mining, yay. Light carrier class. Well, good thing I didn't just put some light carriers into production. I'd have to stop them that quick. Okay, carriers. Light carrier, okay. Eliminate control. Human body, I believe. No, I don't need the link right now. But I'm also talking about a lot of the aid is coming from religious organizations in America, and are coming, privately, and that there's not through the government. And I don't know the details of what they're tracking or not tracking. I'm not saying those facts are wrong. I just don't know if those facts are complete. Luxembourg is mobilizing. They will soon not be able to field a strong army. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't know about military assistance. I wasn't figuring military assistance in my statement either way. Bolivia. No, I don't care about Bolivia. I think I'm managing money well enough. Okay, New Zealand, yeah, you can have a submarine. That would be useful. So you can go after Japs or something later on with them. All right, military rations production. That is here, and that is, yes. Too far in advance. Recon coordination has advanced. Very nice. Okay, let's see if we go. Okay, we could do that. Get all the 39s here, and well, we'll also do 37. Okay, that use it. Well, some of it is. I would say some of charity is done for altruistic purposes. Government charity, in my opinion, government charity is mostly just bribes to governments. Whether it's going into some African dictator's pocket or actually getting to the people of the country, it's still with governments. I believe it is primarily there to try to get governments to do it's using soft power as opposed to, hey, we have weapons, do what we tell you. It's, hey, we give you money, do what we tell you or the money stops, kind of thing. Whether it's effective charity or government government giving, or whether it's ineffective, that's another question. But that last year the U.S. gave a total of $1 billion in developmental aid and foreign aid. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And again, I don't have all the facts in front of me to look at these things. Okay, let's just go. Well, we just way back there. You may want to use airborne to invade and take islands and things. The Hans, you mean China? I don't think so. I don't think so. They're just new at the game and people seeing it develop. I don't think so. That one, or is it? Oh, yeah, okay, it's just 38, so we'll let that continue. Okay, I will grant you that maybe for the amount they give, they're being more effective at it. I will grant you that. But I don't think they're winning. I don't think they're winning that. I think they're just well, I would have thought the cash and carry. We gotten rid of that. Okay, rogue politician has long been known. Oh, this is one of these BS events that I didn't remove. Okay. Yeah, for the bang for their buck, they're probably doing better. I will grant you that one. Okay, advanced education investment advance. Sort of repetitive, but okay, 44, so stop that. Okay. Additional supplies and additional ammunition production. Okay. This, oh no, this and this. We are now in 1940, everyone. You didn't know we're all in 1940. So that means without too big of a detriment, we can start researching 1941 technology. So I see a bunch here. We could use more coal and we could use more metal, as they call it here. So let's go with coal processing. Get that processed, and steel, I guess is what they call it. Steel, whatever. Steel, metal. We'll get those two because we currently obviously have way more than enough for now, at least, oil and plenty of rare materials for now. And that may change, but for now. UK gave billion. I don't mean to go on, but the Leach government got to me. Okay, well, I'm also saying the Leach. What I'm saying is America develops a new technique or a new drug or new whatever because the companies get to make a lot of money in America to cover their developmental cost. a cousin of mine. I've talked to a cousin of mine extensively. She's a drug pusher. I forget. Again, it wasn't so much. I mean, it wasn't so much about the details of it. I forget which one. She was mentioning products that she pushes, and she literally goes around to doctors' offices and pushes these products onto them, giving here's samples, and whatnot. And she's a drug pusher to doctors' offices, legal drugs, legal medical stuff. And it's done to have, and it's multiple competing products that do the same thing in slightly different ways. I remember she's telling me about some different blood thinning medicines and things and whatnot. I don't remember the details, but and comparing it to her competitors, and so you have all of these companies that are producing all of these drugs. Producing them, not so much necessary. I mean, I'm not just meaning as in making the drug. I mean developing the drug, and developing these MRI machines and other things like that are done purely from the company's perspective as a profit motive. And they're doing it, and they're sinking huge amounts of money into development. And then you get those products. Now, they may be sold to Britain or sold to Canada or given away to Africa or wherever it is, but they get to make huge gobs of money in America. And then the rest of the world gets the benefit of the research and development that America makes. It's not, I'm talking about that kind of leeching of technological information, not that America is handing Britain free medicine or I know they give free medicine to Africa of, anti-malaria medicines and other things, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the leeching off of the American medical industrial complex, because it is an industrial complex in America, and the rest of the world, I believe, is leeching off of our technological development. Oh, they may be buying their products, but their systems are not developing most of the medical advances. And maybe I'm full of shit. Maybe China is actually developing the most modern medicines in the world, and I'm just listening to America propaganda and whatnot. Maybe it is, but I don't believe so. So yeah, and that's how I'm meaning the leeching off of our development. Not that you're not paying for the pills or you're not paying for the machinery, but it's being developed in America for Americans in a profit motive situation, and they're pouring millions, if not billions of dollars a year into the research and development part of it. I'm not just talking about the manufacturing once they have it down, but the research and development part of the medical industry that they're putting in there. And to the best of my knowledge, no nation is coming anywhere near the level of research money put into development of new medical stuff. Again, I could be wrong, Plastic Gangsta. Sorry if I am, and I don't mean to offend, but I know I will at times. That's actually the medical reps are not allowed. Oh, she is a drug pusher. I'm not joking about that. Now, it's not illegal drugs. It's all perfectly legal, and she only goes to doctors' offices, but she's trying to get them to recommend. So you want free samples of whatever this is? Give it, in small amounts. Give it to it. Try it out. Give it to your patients and prescribe it. So when they go to the pharmacy, and their insurance company will probably pay for most of it or pay for part of it, and maybe pay the first 10 or 20% yourself, and the rest is covered by insurance or whatever it is. It varies on your insurance programs. They'll pay for it, but as long as the doctor prescribes it, they just want to get that doctor to prescribe it, so they give them free samples and enough to sort of, get you started today. Hand out enough, because the doctor's prescribing, hand it out to the patient, enough to get you hooked on it. And, the idea hooked in that the doctor writes the prescription. She's a pusher. That's her job. She is a pusher. She goes to doctor's office, not to the end user, not to the patient. She doesn't ever talk, to the best of my knowledge, in the way she talks. No, we don't talk to patients. We just go to the doctor's office. I know. I can't give them money. I can only give them, I can't give them too much gifts, but I bring, I can bring lunch for the doctor's office. So she'll show up with like a cake or lunch or whatever for the doctor's office. And so everybody gets who works there gets a free, Subway sandwich or whatever she knows they sort of like, or whatever, whatever it is. And she'll bring in the food and talk to them and get their attention, once a month or something. It's not like every day she goes to the same doctor's office. She has a territory. I don't know exactly how much her job has changed since COVID, but this is how it was 2019 or whatever. She'd show up and, she's there to push. She's got samples. She's got normally a not terribly expensive, especially if you look at each, person working in the office there, terribly expensive gift of food that's allowed. It can't be like a super expensive bottle of champagne, or it can't be, give them real cash, but, in like real amounts. But you can buy them lunch or buy them donuts or whatever it may be that she knows that they do. And she goes around and tries to get that doctor. Now she's, targeting doctors that would likely be, someone that would prescribe one of her drugs that her company manufactures. And so she's a pusher. And I'm using language that people talk about, illegal drugs, yes. In that way it's sort of funny. But she's an advocate, a salesman who goes to doctors to try to here's the sheet on this drug, here's the, what it does, here's the side effects, and with maybe, it's better than this other drug side effect wise, or maybe, well, if they have a bad negative reaction to drug X, use our drug Y because we've tested it that, the reasons you have, negative reaction, some people have negative reaction to drug X. Well, our drug Y doesn't show that. So for that patient, you definitely should prescribe our drug instead of their drug, if they showed a negative reaction or whatever it is. And so she knows all this stuff down. She's got it down. She can go talk to the doctor. And part of it is just coming in and smoothing and dropping off a few more, samples and cruising on out of there, even just to keep them going with her stuff. So, yeah, I can say illegal, are not allowed to push drugs. They don't need to, since, yes, see, and this is what I like about the American system is that they can compete. Instead of making the decision at higher levels about which drugs to use, they can compete and have multiple drugs being used. And people over time can find out that whether the new drug is good or bad, what, rare side effects, what, that happen in a few percentage of the population, or what are common side effects, or whatever, and choose between the different ones and have all competing ones going. That is what I'm talking about, the world leeching off of our research and development. I'm not talking about just about giving it away or whatever. I'm talking about our research and development, which I believe is the best in the world. Again, I'm not saying there isn't some great lab in Denmark that's doing really good work, but that's just, it's not an island that doesn't get influenced by other medical developments, shall we say. And yes, I'm sure that there probably are some, great labs in Britain that are doing some research, but that's just a small part of a huge pie of research that America is boosting everywhere. So, decision on drugs is made at the higher level here. Yeah, no, the drugs are it's a multi-scale decision, because you go through the approval process in America to get approved to have a drug for use in the outside of testing. Use once you get that approved. And then you've got to get the insurance companies, as well as each state, because I did say there's Medicaid and Medicare. So each state runs that sort of federal. Each state runs the federal program locally. They're the implementers of the federal program locally, and so there's a difference between each state. Big differences, small differences, whatever. There's differences between each state, and will the state-supported medical thing in Louisiana here approve whatever drug as something that they would pay for for a patient, so they have to approve it. And then once they approve it, then a doctor can prescribe it. Or if a medical insurance company, if they go, yeah, well, we'll pay for that, whatever it is. And okay, we'll pay for it. And then they got to get a doctor to prescribe it to the individual patient, and there can be 3 or 4. I'm not going to go into my personal medical history, but this has affected me as to which drug do I want to take to help me with a condition. Something that I take daily, and it's nothing that is a mood altering. Well, I'll say it, a blood thinner. It's just something simple like a blood thinner. I need to take one. What blood thinner do I take? And there's 3 or 4 major choices out there. They will all be supported by health insurance. So it's not price for me. It may be price for them because they're paying for it. The insurance company. So price doesn't come into which one I pick. Which one the doctor prescribes to me, and I talk to my doctors which one and why. But so the doctor prescribes it. It can be of these things, and so long as it's generally approved. And so there is sort of an approval process. You need to get into the system, the drug approved into the system, that the different things will pay it. But even if the insurance companies or the different state administrators won't pay for them, well, you can still get them so long as it's a legal thing here to prescribe. If the doctor prescribes it, you can get it, even if the companies aren't going to pay for it. Some of the stuff is super expensive when it's not coming from insurance. Some of the stuff is cheap when it's not, even when it's not coming from insurance. It just varies, and it's all that kind of stuff going on. And so you have all this testing out over 50 different systems with a lot of different stuff going on. And I like that better than a sort of single point decision-making system that you have in Britain. And yes, Britain may have more than one blood thinner available because of different conditions. Certain styles work better than other styles, but it has a single point of decision on whether it goes to the patients or be allowed for the doctor to prescribe it. Here, you just sort of have to. In America, you get the approval that it's not like, the deadliness isn't what is potentially deadly. You take too much blood thinner, you will die, because it thins your blood out and you'll bleed, like sort of like having hemophilia, kind of thing or something, So, it gets approved and the side effects aren't too bad or whatever. And once it gets approved for being able to use in humans, then, as long as the doctor prescribes it, and this is why you have the opioid problems. Doctors, in my opinion, were just, prescription mills, we're just signing. What you want opioids? Sure. We'll just, you have a headache? Yeah, we'll give you this. Yeah, oh, you have leg cramps? Yeah, we'll give you this. Just whatever. And they were just spamming out these opioid stuff out without really checking. And I think some ways just for money. And so you do have some problems. You do have some abuses with the medical system on that kind of scale. And you have thousands or tens of thousands of people die of opioid addiction based upon at least starting with it given by doctors, maybe even appropriately in many cases, but not cut off quickly enough. Maybe you've had a serious injury and you want opioids for a while to deal with the pain, but then, well, that felt really good. I want more of that. And people get addicted and they don't. Some doctor will keep your addiction live going, and I don't know the details of that. Warfarin or aspirin. Yeah, trust me, I know about warfarin. I'm not going to go into the details, but hey, Strong is up and running. Great, Eric. Great. So yeah, it's a lot of that kind of stuff that goes on, and I like the American system in that it is dynamic and it is not rigid on the thing. And we have, even when we have federal government programs, most of them, like the medical ones, are still sort of implemented state by state, so that you can have different states. And sometimes what is great for one of these states out here may be terrible type of a system for one of these smaller states here, but also sometimes what is done first out here may be great for every state that'll eventually adopt it, so sometimes it may be, whether it's large or small, urban or rural, or north or south, or whatever, different reasons for some things to be better in other states. And then sometimes just we'll try out and then you compare and then, oh, well, that worked a lot better than the other one worked. And so now we'll do the other, we'll do the one that works the best. And so that's why I like, for all of the problems, and I'm not going to deny that there's problems with the American system. I'm just saying I think it is the best one tried yet in the world for a country of this scale. If I was, Luxembourg, I would want government health care, single payer, government health care. We're small. We know what our population is. Presumably, we're not letting floods of foreigners in, so we know what our population is. We know what our costs are going to be. And if there's going to be a few people that need extraordinary stuff, well, we'll pay to put them on a medical flight to America or somewhere else. A few people that get a extraordinary whatever. But just we're going to do Luxembourg. That would be, I would have a different opinion if I was a Luxembourger on what I want my system to be. I wouldn't want a bunch of competing hospitals with a bunch of competing whatever. That would just be too much for Luxembourg. So I'm trying to use that as sort of the opposite end of the scale, but still something more than Liechtenstein or some, small little nothing of a thing. So looking at it in that sense, for a large scale, now obviously we're sort of a mega scale in America, but for a large scale system, I think America is the best in the world. And like I say, at some point I would want a single payer. Luxembourg, like I say, is the opposite thing, but it goes. So yeah. All right, back to playing. Okay, so we have a little more research because you're pulling off where. Okay, rare materials 35. Well, we're probably going to need more rare materials coming up here, so let's go with that. And thank you, Eric, for helping with Strong Arm. Guys, I'm really glad of the community that is building up around my channel. I want to say community because, like Eric, who is helping Strong Arm today get his computer running, and they both, found and are part of the community here. And it's not just me or what the center is. You're helping each other out, and a lot of that happens over in Discord. So I don't know if Arno wants to put Discord up links in the chat right now or not. If he's still paying attention. But we hang out, talk about things, whether in text or in voice at different times. Really like a lot of people getting together here, and I'm really happy. I'm more happy when I see I show up and there's 2 or 3 people on the Discord server playing some game together, and it doesn't involve me. I'm more happy than when it does involve me, just because, hey, you guys are finding each other. That's really cool to me. Okay. Brigade command structures advanced. Is that? No, that is over here. I think. Okay, 41. We have 40 technology, so let's do new regimental combat teams. So if you want to be part of it, yeah, check out the Discord. I'm sure there's links around. Okay, introduction help. We're gonna turn that off for a year just in case we ever want it back. Disable for 1 year. It'll be rendered as net. The handle. Okay. We're gonna choose industrial for the Philippines, and again, I'm just going Army. Not exactly sure what that's doing for them, but go for Army. I don't need you to have industry there. More than you sort of already do. Okay. Artillery unit training. Well, we are now 1940, so 1940 technologies aren't good, are fine to do, but let's do some of these 39s that we're still sort of trying to catch up on. Okay, Army headquarters have advanced. Okay, that's just still 36, so let's continue that. And here, okay. Yeah, okay, well, Yeah, I don't know that we need to do. I'm just gonna do postpone. Okay, Venezuela now. I'm gonna get more and more greedy on that. Okay, artillery unit command control. Move this down to, yeah, Marine Corps unit training. Mass events advance. All right, good. 32. Let's come over here. Well, we're gonna wait on oil refining just because we are super ahead on that. We don't need to push early. I don't think. I don't think. I'm writing vehicles, tracks, and suspension. Okay, grayed out. We've got till we get to extra wide tracks. We got that just fine. Small warship screws and rudders. Yeah, good. Cancel. Okay, well, let's do torpedo boat. I don't know if we're going to build torpedo boats, but armor unit training. And let's move that other over to motor torpedo boats. Smaller. Remember that the political triangle, they ain't got one in Hoi 4. Have they? Doesn't every country float around closer to one of the 3 points fascism coming? Well, and Hoi 4 is set up to be able to have more factions than this is more of a, yeah, you can see this as, democratic, um, communist, and authoritarian or fascist or whatever. um, you constantly have Switzerland, who is very democratic, staying very away in the middle here. This is really, yeah, there is ideology here, for sure. Um, in these three things, but China, the hell ain't democratic, and it's closer to fascism, communism than it is to democracies. Nationalist China, if it was still around. So, yeah, they've gone with a different way of looking at it than this, but yeah, your rescues don't have anyone in their corner, do they? Well, they got these guys here. You see, they got, let's see, Soviet Union, Mongolia, and Tuvan People's Republic. But yeah, they're sort of on their own. Yes. Light cruiser armor thickness advances. Light cruisers did have armor, but weren't very well armored. Okay, be right there. I know we can do 41 technologies, so yeah, I'm probably going to trickle out a battleship or two, but I think the thing we're going to trickle out maybe a bit more carriers. So we're going to do early. Let's do some carriers here. Carriers. Let's do carrier screws. They drift towards those groups they're aligned with in the war, if not politically. Yeah, because we can look. You know, Romania has its fascist party. But they're trying to drift towards France and Britain, but France and Britain are saying nope, because France and Britain knows they're not going to go to war over Romania, especially early on. It's over Soviet aggression more than it was over German aggression. So it's more factional, I would say, than ideological, though of course, you know, some people want to call Portugal and Spain as fascist states. I do not call either of them fascist states, but they were both dictatorships. They were both nationalist states. Salazar of Portugal hated Hitler. He even writes a book that publishes in Portuguese. I don't know how many other languages translated into, but in that it's an anti-Hitler, anti-Nazi book. He hates it enough that he writes a book and publishes it. And he, of course, wants to have nothing to do with any of these powers in here. And during World War I had been on the Allies and more or less just wants to stay out of the war in World War II. But if anything, it was, and they allow the Americans, without firing a shot, allow Americans to invade and take over the Azores during the time. I mean, the Portuguese are still there and still administering it locally for themselves, but the U.S. put in some bases and whatnot to anti-submarine warfare. So, but they're, you know, he's an authoritarian, he's a nationalist authoritarian dictator, goes until 75. Or is it 74? 74, 75, right in there. And Franco, he doesn't like the Germans terribly much. He has a lot of fascists in his government, but he is not a fascist. He is a nationalist, and he's a dictator. So, you know, yeah, the Iron Guard, that's exactly right over there in Romania. Now they do sort of, there's coups and whatnot, and I don't remember all the details going back and forth of when the Iron Guard is in power or the king and whatnot. But the Germans generally preferred to have the royal government in charge and have Antonescu sort of running things a bit, you know, sort of traditionalist, but because they saw the fascists as sort of, you know, not maybe the No, plastic gangster. That's not true. Extreme right-wing totalitarianism is fascism. No. Fascism has a socialist aspect. Fascism is nationalist socialism. Not national socialism, but nationalist socialism. It is hierarchical socialism, not leveling socialism. Franco is not interested in socialism. Just isn't. So he is not a fascist. He is an authoritarian nationalist. National Socialism is not, Germany's National Socialism is not at all like fascism. I don't know if you've missed all my lectures on how they're different. I don't want to go into it right now. But Germany's National Socialism is very different from fascism. What they share in common is hyper-nationalism. They share that in common, yes. They share the collective. They share the collective ownerships of the means of production. They share that in common with fascism and communism and socialism. National Socialism does. They believe in government. The people collectively own the means of production. That they share. But Hitler wants a competitive, meaning instead of a planned economy of a socialism, he wants a competitive system. Not capitalism like you see in the West, market capitalism. No, he wants a competitive system, and he even does that within government. So it is a different structural system, but it shares, and it is a the other thing that it shares with fascism is wishing to tear down the old order, you know, guys with the name Count and Duke and whatever, that the fascists wanted to get rid of too. But both of them tolerated, National Socialism and fascism tolerated people with titles and whatnot, but they wanted to get rid of it. So they were a radical reorganization of society. But beyond that, there is almost nothing similar between them, other than that they want to be totalitarian. They want to own collectively want to own the means of production, and they are hyper nationalistic. Other than that, they're almost exactly they're not at all the same. You're just using very colloquial terms of fascism and whatnot, not talking about how we use it here. Fascism, political headed. No, fascism. No. Okay, that's Webster's is wrong. Webster's is wrong. That's the sort of a colloquial, stupid. That's what the communists want to say. You gonna trust communists for your definitions? Because I can argue that fascism and National Socialism are left wing. I mean, there's arguments either way, but I can argue successfully that they're both left wing organizations. But the German system became many things. Hitler despised massive centralization. Yes. But I'm talking about what they believe ideologically as opposed to what is pressured on Germany by the war. See, Germany by the war is pressured into a single-minded effort of fighting that war. That is not what Hitler wants, and I do not believe that that's what Hitler would have had he won the war for Germany. So that is different. What is pushed on him by the war, it's sort of like Stalin is doing everything he can, in my opinion. I'm not a Stalin expert. I didn't take a history course on Stalin. I took a history course in university on Hitler, just on Hitler, not on Nazism, not on Germany in World War II, just on Hitler. Now, of course, we covered Nazis and covered World War II, but it was hyper-focused on Hitler. I've had that university level course on Hitler in my educational career in university. Okay, I've not had that on Stalin. Sorry, I don't know Stalin as well as I know Hitler. But to the best of my understanding, Stalin is trying to erase the Russian identity and definitely trying to erase the church in the Soviet Union. Once the war happens, he very much turns on Mother Russia and starts tolerating the church a little more. Never really pumps the church up, but tolerates it a bit more, but flips on Mother Russia and fight for the motherland, and really flips on Russian nationalism, but only once the war starts. He is ideologically wants to reduce nationalism, but he changes that purely not because he believes it's better or anything, but purely because it is for the war. So I don't look at that as a change in Stalinistic ideals. Stalinistic ideals is, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and have, general republic or multiple republics, whatever, for every single culture on the world as it expands and controls the whole world eventually, and just have, the Soviet world. And yeah, people speak Russian in one part of the world, another part they speak Turkish, but try to minimalize the idea of national identity as of any importance. It just sort of whatever. So yeah, I'm not buying dictionary definitions that are bullshit. So yeah, governmental systems led by a dictator having complete power, forcibly regimenting all industry of nationalism, racism, the dictionary. That is, the dictionary have something desired definitions, but their definitions, and you cannot. Well, I think they're making up their own. What gives them authority to making up? Why are they getting that authority, plastic gangster? Johnson writes a dictionary. And, he's the first one writing a dictionary. Right around 1800, give or take a few years there. That is the first English dictionary. Are you going to allow a non-fascist to define fascism? That would be like allowing a communist to define capitalism, okay? Well, that's what the dictionary says. You can't make up your own, can you? Well, the communists wrote that dictionary. Well, it's sold on the market. No, well, I'm not going to allow the control of the language just because of that. Well, yeah, I'm forgetting the name, but Johnson, he's the one that's writing the first dictionary in England, right around 1895, 1810. I don't remember exactly when it's, or is Johnson the aide? God, sorry, I forget some of these things when we're pulling out. What? No, the very first dictionary in Britain, the very first dictionary. I remember there's a Blackadder episode on it, if you know what Blackadder is. That's the first dictionary, literally, in English, at least. First English dictionary. And we're speaking in English, so I'm, referring to that, and I don't know what other languages, when they've come up with their first dictionary, if they did be prior to that. I'm sure dictionaries in Russia might well have dictionary definitions, especially of communism. Yes, but I'm trying to look. When I'm looking at communism, I'm trying to understand how Marx defined communism. Okay, I'm trying to understand it as they understood it. It is not a pro any of these things. I'm trying to understand when a capitalist, a free market capitalist talks about capitalism and what it means. That's what it means to me, not what a critic, or however you want to say it, of capitalism wants to call capitalism. What does a capitalist call capitalism? How does he define, he or she, I use the term he, but he defines capitalism. I'm looking at how the fascist defines fascism, not how an external right or left, or, whether it's a monarchist, because there was still, because, we clearly, by the definition, Italy was never fascist because Mussolini never had full control in Italy. He wanted it, but he never had it. The king was in charge. The Royal Army was never controlled by Mussolini. It was controlled by monarchists within the Royal Army. So Mussolini never, so the Italian state wasn't a fascist state by their own definition, because the royalists had a strong share of power. Sure, they'd kicked the socialists and the other leftists out of government, but there were still the royalists there, and there was constant tension in the church. He had to come to the Concordia, or whatever it's called, with the church, and let the church give primary education to the children, not the state. He, of course, wanted the state to give give education to the children, but it just secondary, like high school and above, was run by the fascist. Lower level, it was run by the church, not by the state, is my understanding. And I can be wrong. He's spelled Clift as Clift. Oh, Samuel Johnston. That's right. That's the name I was looking for. Samuel Johnston. Oh, yeah. Well, definitions do change, but I'm trying to look at the definitions of the people that used it. And when I'm talking about National Socialism, I'm talking about, in most of these terms, Hitler's National Socialism of Germany, Mussolini's fascism, and I don't know the details how it differed, but the Phalangist Party, there was and that's what they called it in Spain. It's sort of Spanish for fascist. The phalange, the bundle of sticks with the axe. The Phalangist Party in Spain, how they define, I don't know the details how they defined it, but they called themselves fascist. The Phalangists had a lot of influence in Franco's government. What is it, Salerno or whoever the guy is, the foreign minister for a while during this period, was a member of the Phalangist Party. The Phalangists had a lot of influence within the nationalistic government. There were also monarchists. The monarchists sort of went out because Franco on his death, he turns the government back to the monarchy. Instead of trying to put, his heirs or another dictator in charge, he turned it back to a monarchy, knowing that it was going to be opened up to a more democratic system. But he believed, and so far has been the case, he did not want that democratic system to be able to swing to the extreme left of communism or to the extreme right of fascism. He wanted it, because Franco, I don't think, it had the radicals, the Republicans, as they become known in Spain, had they not been assassinating people and moving more and more extreme left, I don't think Franco would have approved of the revolt. I don't think there would have been a revolt had it just sort of stayed in middle ground. He might not have been happy at all the policies, but I don't think Franco Franco is, does not, in my understanding, Franco does not organize up the coup that happens that starts the Civil War. And I've looked into it to some degree. It's more, oh shit, there's a civil war fighting. He's been in exile here. He's brought in to lead it now that it's happened. And so phalangists comes from the term, armed infantry, Macedonian hoplites. Oh, okay, you're right. You're absolutely right about that. And not the bunch of sticks. You're absolutely right. But you're absolutely right about that. But they're the ones in Spain that call themselves. But it's the same sort of idea of massed together. They're the Spanish version of the fascist party, the Phalangists in Spain, and they call themselves a fascist party. Franco did not call himself a fascist. I looked at him. Salazar, his Novo State Party, his New State Party, is not a fascist party, but a party of the same name at the same time in Portuguese-speaking Brazil was a fascist party. The Novo State Party in Brazil was fascist. They called themselves fascist, and they had different ideology than Salazar's party in Portugal. So Salazar was not a fascist. He did not approve of fascism. So these are not fascism. Dictatorship is not fascism. Mussolini was never completely in charge in Spain. He wanted to be, but he had the Catholic Church to deal with, and he had the royal government to deal with, and those he never was able to overcome either one of those during his period in power. So it is a mixed form of government there between royalty, between theocracy, with the church. And the church, yes, there's not just, there's the Vatican, but literally the Catholic Church, my understanding, controls early education in children. They run the schools for young children. That's why he very much does that youth party movement early on to try to get outside of school, to try to get to mold the young minds into becoming fascists. But the church still has hold throughout the entire Mussolini regime on education, and he has to accept, and comes to I think it's called the Concordia on it. So his government does not fit their definition of fascism. So, he wants it, but he doesn't achieve it. I thought the war started when Franco. No. You look into Plastic Gangster, and there's some good stuff on YouTube. What starts it is, there's a very popular general, I forget the name, sorry. He is arrested one night at his home in Madrid. The next morning, his body is found with bullet holes in the street. The government says, he was trying to escape. So they shot him. But he peacefully went with the police. And it was the police who come to arrest him. And he was a very prominent general. Very, very popular. More popular at the time than Franco. And he is arrested. And he winds up in the morning dead in the gutter on some street. People just find his body laying there. So they're not sure whether they took him into jail and then shot him, or on the way to jail they shot him. But he peacefully leaves his home, goes with the police unarmed, and and presumably he knows he's going to a police station and doing that. And there's a bunch of police around it. It's not just like two cops. It's a bunch of police come and arrest him, and they find him dead the next morning. That triggers a cabal of local, meaning up here in Spain, not Franco down there, of Spanish generals who try to do a coup against the Republican government. The coup fails. That breaks out the Civil War. The nationalists, as they become known as the rebels or whatever, because they're coupping against the internationally recognized government, is going to fail. It's going to fail because they don't have enough support until Franco, who is in internal exile out here, and his army that he had trained up earlier and been fighting out in the desert is sitting out here, until those are flown by Germany. Well, actually, it's a British pilot and a British plane, a civilian British pilot and a civilian British plane fly Franco to Spain. So the Brits fly Franco. Okay, thank you, General Mola. That's the name. Yes, I forget these names. A British pilot in a British airplane flies Franco to Spain. It's the Germans who show up with their Ju-52s and transport his Spanish army in Africa mainly down here, I believe, flies them up to reinforce, because their army would have collapsed early on had you not done that. But it's only at that stage, and there was a lot of death squads. There were death squads on the right, there were death squads on the left, but the death squads on the left were often the police, and were none of the deaths, at least according to popular thought, none of the deaths that were on the right were being investigated by the police. They just never found who done it when a right-winger got killed. Okay, guys, I'm running out of time. I know you're hearing the alarm. I've got to do another stream here for Slytherin coming up. Oh, let me stop this.